I was actually taken to a cell given that one phone call.
I had to repeat my order like 5 times.
Cab driver said, okay, that's great, but do you know how long Eldridge Parkway is?
Every day for lunch was the Wendy's burger for $1.
I wanted to be an investment banker, and then the job stopped existing in 2008.
It drives me up the wall. क्यों गए उस हाथ? क्यों गए?
Learn to fill up fuel.
Hey guys, I'm Sam.
I'm Sid.
And you're watching Chai and Coffee.
Sam and I landed in the US 14 years ago. That's almost half a lifetime. Well, for one of us anyway. Now, we've collected some incredible memories during this time. And we're certainly not the only ones that have some fun stories to share. So we're presenting to you a multi-part series called Immigrant Diaries, where Sam and I join some of our friends in this trip down memory lane.
So go get yourself a big cup of chai
Or coffee.
and let's get started.
So in today's video, we'll focus on the first few months in the US. So Sam, can you think of a fun anecdote from that time?
Yeah, I can. So, I came to the US in 2006 for a bachelor's in electrical engineering. Now, before I came to the US, I was exchanging emails with my future dorm roommate, who was an American, and she casually mentioned that she might get a TV for our room, and she was only bringing it up so I don't get one as well. And it's very normal for undergrad students here to coordinate with their roommates and bring like a toaster or a TV or floor rugs, things like that. But this entire concept was so alien to me sitting in India because I literally had an allowance to only get whatever I could fit in 2 checked baggages. And so it was less about what I wanted to bring and more about what I could fit. So that was pretty funny. The other thing that stands out in my memory is when I finally did meet my roommate. I remember she was very sweet. She hugged me and she was excited. And she said a stream of words that sounded like English, but I couldn't understand her at all. So I did what we all do in such situations, smile and nod. Now, over time, I did get used to the accent, which, by the way, there are many American accents, not just one. But at that point in time, the 19-year-old me was shit scared, just thinking that this had become one more thing on my plate to overcome. Okay, Sid, your turn. Any interesting anecdote from the first few months in the US?
Yeah, so I came to the US in 2006 to do my master's in mechanical engineering from Cincinnati, Ohio. Now in India, back then, we grew up on a healthy dose of reruns of American sitcoms. So Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier, and so on, right? So my whole image of the US was essentially that of one big New York City. So picture like high-rise buildings, huge billboards, the big city hustle and bustle. And so I still remember my first car ride in the US when I landed for grad school was from the Cincinnati airport to the University of Cincinnati. And just looking out of the window and wondering, where are all the tall buildings? Where did the people go? What happened here? I mean, in hindsight, it was very naive of me. Just like India isn't one big homogenous country, neither is the US. So the Midwest has its own charm. East Coast and West Coast are miles apart, both literally and figuratively. And Texas, of course, is its own country. So that was one interesting memory from the time that I first landed in the US.
Alright, so that's enough from us. Let's get some more voices in and hear from some of our friends on their journeys to the US.
So I came to the US in 2013 to do a master's at Berkeley in law. For me, I just remember that when I first came to the US, I went to Subway because I was trying to find vegetarian food. And I had to repeat my order like 5 times because they just didn't get what I was trying to say. So I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, okay, life is going to be a little bit different.
I came to the US in 2005, came to College Station, Texas. I came to do my master's in biochemical engineering. So mine was not first few months, but first few years was actually a very fun trip. My cousin and I, we did a road trip and we went all the way to El Paso, Texas and the south of there. And then we were coming back. And so as we were coming back, there was the border check post, right? And back then it was pre-smartphone. So I took copies of my passport. I took copies of a lot of these different things. When we got there for checking, one of the copies I had was actually an older version of my visa visa. So I was actually taken to a cell where you're kind of detained. You're given that one phone call. I end up calling a friend, and now if I text him, I'll get an answer 3 hours later. But back then I called him from a random phone and he picked up. And then I had to ask him to look into my email, pull up some numbers and stuff like that, give it to them for reference and come back. I feel so stupid now thinking about it.
I came in 2010 and I'm a dentist by background. Moved to New York as a dental assistant. That was my first job. While I was working as a dental assistant, I was studying for my boards, and then after I cleared the boards, I was able to apply for schools. We're on both separate journeys here. Didn't know each other till 2014. So back in 2010, when I first moved here, it was, this is New York City, right? Big world. I rented out a bedroom in someone's house. They used to live on the ground floor. They used to rent out the top floor, the different bedrooms. My job started really early in the morning. So that was my best part, because I had to walk through Times Square to get to my work, because it was in Midtown Manhattan. And like 6 o'clock in the morning, still dark, walk through Times Square and just, enjoy the beauty of that city.
I first came to the US in 1988, but I was only 4 years old at that time. My dad was doing his postdoc at MIT, so we came and spent some time with him. And then I came back in 2016 to also do a master's at Berkeley. From when I was 4 years old, I remember every weekend I was allowed to buy one toy car at the supermarket, so that was the highlight of my week. When I came here when I was older, the fact that people queue up separately to pay for things when they go as a group is something that sticks with me. It drives me up the wall. क्यों गए हो साथ? क्यों गए हो?
I also came to US for my master's in 2007, financial economics, because I wanted to be an investment banker, and then the job stopped existing in 2008. So, when you're in India, you always think Americans speak fast. When I came to the US, I was told, can you please slow down? I don't understand what you're saying. And I was just taken aback, because I'm like, you guys speak fast. I don't speak fast. So yes, that was the one realization that I had. And I still see it with a lot of my colleagues who are from India. They speak so fast. And I'm like, listen, you need to slow down.
I came to the US in 2010 as part of a on-site assignment from my Big Four consulting firm, essentially. That's kind of how the journey started. I still remember the first time I came to the US, telling the cab driver, hey, I've been told it's on Eldridge Parkway. And, the cab driver said, okay, that's great, but do you know how long Eldridge Parkway is? Which part of Eldridge Parkway is it? So that was a good introduction by fire into the concept of cross streets. For example, even today, Amrita talks about Westheimer Road, right? Oh, it's on Westheimer, but Westheimer is 35 miles long, so so that was an interesting memory from how we first started.
Yeah, I still do that. The one advice this friend of mine gave me was take only the liability insurance, and so that way you minimize the cost. And I did that, unfortunately, and then got into this massive accident, and then I had to pay and literally my car was worth $4,000. I literally bought it for $4,000, and then I had to pay another $2,000 just to get that fixed, because I was like, I can't afford another $4,000 car. But I guess I'll pay $2,000 to fix it. Another funny anecdote was the whole filling up your own fuel. I'm like hanging out with this family friend of mine, and I just got that $4,000 car. And so now I have to fill up fuel, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that. And so, they thought it was a joke first, because these are Americans, so they thought it was a joke. And I'm like, no guys, I'm being serious. So the son, he's like, I guess I'll teach you how to fill up fuel. I think that was another bizarre thing to have to do on your own, was learn to fill up fuel.
Hey guys, Kaushik here. I came to this country in the fall of 2006, basically get my master's degree, mechanical engineering. One of the most interesting anecdotes or experiences that we had coming in was trying to find a job on campus area, right, for your meals, day-to-day living paycheck. Finally got a job, and once we got our paychecks, we started eating out in the cafeteria, and the only thing that we would buy every day for lunch was the Wendy's burger for $1. And the day the paycheck shows, all of us will go to Pizza Hut and get a pizza. So that's how we were for the first few months. And because the dollar conversion was insane, the salary day was the splurge day with a pizza.
I have got so much exposure, just the diversity aspect of, the different races, the amount of learning that you get. And in that, you see how alike all of us are, despite being so different. I think that for me has been quite eye-opening.
Alright, that's it for this video. If you like this video, please share it with all your friends and family. And we've got more parts to the series, so look out for them as well. And if you're an immigrant that's moved to the US and have some fun anecdotes or memories or advice to share with the world, send us an email at this address below.
And stay tuned for more videos from Chai and Coffee.